Orania is a small town in the middle of South Africa. It's not just another town, you know. People talk about it everywhere. Why? Well, because almost everyone who lives there is white. More than that, they're Afrikaners, descendants of Dutch settlers. Orania is a place with big ideas and, honestly, even bigger debates. Many people call Orania a white-only country. That makes it famous and, yeah, pretty controversial. The world wants to know, what is happening in Orania? Is it a dream for some, or maybe a nightmare for others? The story of Orania makes people ask big questions about race, history, and the future of South Africa. Today, Orania stands at the center of a national argument. It's about identity, belonging, and the meaning of freedom. For some, Orania is a safe home. For others, it's a sign that South Africa still has a long way to go. This essay looks at why Orania exists, who lives there, and what the town really means. Let's take a closer look at this unusual town. Why did it start? Who calls it home? And you know, what does Orania say about South Africa today? Orania began in 1991, right before South Africa changed forever. Apartheid, the old system that kept races apart, was ending. At that time, some Afrikaners felt scared. They thought they might lose their language, culture, and history. They wanted a place to keep their traditions alive. A group of Afrikaner families bought the land that became Orania. Their dream was to build a town just for themselves. They would speak Afrikaans, follow their customs, and run their own schools. It was a way to protect their identity when everything else in South Africa was changing fast. The founders had a clear plan. They said Orania was not about hate, but about survival. Everyone in town would have to work. No one could hire outsiders to do their jobs. They wanted a strong, self-reliant community. That rule still stands today. Orania became a symbol, a place where some people saw hope, and others saw the past refusing to die. The town's leaders say they want peace and respect for everyone, but critics wonder if that is really possible when a town is set up to keep others out. So, is Orania really a white-only country? The answer is not simple. The town does not have an official law that bans people based on color. But almost everyone who lives there is white and, well, specifically Afrikaner. People must share the town's language and culture to move in. In practice, this keeps Orania almost all white. This has led to big debates. Some people say Orania is just protecting a culture. Others believe it's an excuse to keep other groups out. They point to the town's rules and the way it is run. Critics say, if anyone can join, why are there no black or colored residents? Orania's leaders say they are not racist. They say anyone can move in if they adopt the Afrikaner way of life. That means speaking Afrikaans and agreeing with the town's rules. But in a country with so much history around race, people see Orania as a kind of mini-country, one with invisible walls. This is why people call Orania a white-only country. It's about more than laws. It's about who feels welcome and who does not. Julius Malema is one of South Africa's most famous and outspoken politicians. He leads the Economic Freedom Fighters, or EFF. Malema often talks about Orania. He calls it proof that racism is still alive in South Africa, and he wants the rest of the country to notice. Malema has said, Orania is a white-only enclave in a black country. He asks why it is allowed to exist. Malema believes Orania is holding on to a dark past. He thinks it's wrong for any group to separate themselves this way. In his view, towns like Orania show that the dreams of a united South Africa are not real. Malema's words make headlines. He has promised to fight Orania's existence in court and on the streets. Some of his supporters agree, saying Orania must be stopped. Others think Malema is using Orania to stir up trouble and get attention. When Malema says, I was right all along, he means Orania proves his point about race and division. His attacks on Orania keep the spotlight on this tiny town, making it a symbol of South Africa's hardest questions. People in Orania have their own view. Many say they just want peace and a safe life for their families. For them, Orania is a place where they can live without fear. They talk about hard work, strong community, and keeping their traditions alive. Residents feel proud of what they have built. Critics see things differently. They say Orania is stuck in the past. For them, it is a reminder of apartheid, a system that hurt millions. They argue that South Africa should be for everyone, not just one group. Some call Orania an insult to democracy. The South African government has a tricky job. On one hand, it must protect the rights of all citizens. On the other, it cannot force people to mix if they do not want to. Leaders often say Orania is legal, but they wish its example did not exist. Experts add more layers. Some say Orania's existence is a result of deep problems in the country. Others warn that letting towns like Orania grow could lead to more division. It is a debate with no easy answers. Life in Orania is quiet and orderly. The town is clean and well kept. Everyone knows each other. People greet each other in Afrikaans, which is the main language here. Kids go to local schools that teach Afrikaner history and culture. Adults work in town, farming or running small businesses. No one hires outside workers for jobs in Orania. This is actually one of the town's strictest rules. Residents do all the work themselves, from cleaning streets to fixing pipes. It's a point of pride, but also a way to keep the community closed. There are small shops, a church, and even a local currency called the Ora. People hold events that celebrate Afrikaner heritage, like music festivals and language days. Life feels safe and predictable for those who live there. But daily life is not just about peace and quiet. For outsiders, Orania can seem strange and distant. For residents, it is a way to keep their world safe, a choice with big consequences for everyone else. South Africa was built on the idea of Rainbow Nation, many people, one country. Orania tests that dream. Can a town that is mostly for one group fit into a united South Africa? This is not just a question for Orania, but for the whole country. Some people worry that Orania is a sign that South Africa's unity is weak. They say if one group can have its own town, others might want the same. What happens if more people decide to separate? Unity starts to look fragile. Others think Orania is not a threat at all. They say it is just a small town, and South Africa has bigger problems. For them, Orania is a distraction from issues like poverty, crime, and education. They believe real unity comes from fixing those problems, not from fighting about one town. Still, the question remains, does Orania hurt or help South Africa's attempt to build a common future? It is a question with no easy answers. Orania is noticed far beyond South Africa's borders. Some people see it as an experiment in self-rule. Others call it a warning about the dangers of letting groups separate. International human rights groups watch Orania closely, and journalists come to report on life inside its borders. Some communities in other countries say they understand Orania's desire to protect identity. Minority groups around the world face similar worries, but most agree that a white-only town is hard to accept, especially in a country like South Africa, which has suffered so much from racism. Responses have been mixed. Some people defend Orania's right to exist, others demand it be shut down. The debate touches on freedom, rights, and history. It asks big questions about the limits of cultural protection and the dangers of exclusion. Orania's message is complicated. It shows both the strength and the weakness of modern South Africa. It asks everyone, what does it mean to belong? So, is Orania a problem or a solution? The answer depends on who you ask. For residents, Orania is a safe haven, a place where they can live by their own rules. For critics, it is a step backward. It reminds them of a time when South Africa was divided by force. Some experts say Orania is a symptom, not a cause. It shows that South Africa still struggles with trust, fear, and history. Maybe Orania is a sign that the country has more work to do on real unity. In the end, Orania forces everyone to face hard truths. Can a country be truly united if some people feel they must separate to be safe? Is it right to protect culture if it means keeping others out? Orania does not give easy answers. My view, Orania is both a challenge and a lesson. It is not just a problem or a solution. It is a question, one that South Africa and the world still need to answer.